Hello and welcome to Pluribus Unum's Fireside Chats. Not as good as 50 hours, but hey, it's something. Now, this is going to be another one of those boring visual podcasts, because I figured that this would actually be an interesting thing to do for Pride Month, just because, why not? But before we get into that, I'm just putting this part here so that, when we get to it, we can get to it. So let's get right into the news. First, similarly on Pride Month, we're going to be covering a Pride-related story in this episode. The Pride-related story is going to be about the fact that Japan is going to roll out a nationwide LGBTQIA education program for the first time. Japan is set to roll out a nationwide LGBTQIA education program for the first time in schools, workplaces, universities, and homes. Japanese media reports that the plan is designed to promote public understanding and awareness of gender and sexual diversity in the country, which has not legalized same-sex marriage. The draft program reportedly notes that LGBTQIA people can experience confusion, anxiety, and difficulties in daily life due to insufficient public understanding. The scheme has been years in the making, with the Act on the Promotion of Public Understanding of the Diversity of Sexual Orientation and Gender passed in 2023, requiring the creation of the plan. The final plan is yet to be made public, with experts also awaiting more detail. Reports suggest that schools are set to provide information to students about sexually and diverse. The thing that obviously obviously this is of course a very interesting development, because in East Asian countries, when I say East Asian countries, of course, when we mean the Koreas, China, and Japan. Of those countries, none of those countries are necessarily known for their liberalization of gay rights. This could also just be, Americanized propaganda, but, of course, none of those countries are perceived to be, liberalized in regards to their LGBTQ rights. But, of those countries, I think it's pretty obvious that of those countries, the one that is the most reactionary of those countries is, by virtue of it being right-wing, just in general, it is like Japan, by virtue of it being Japan and being a right-wing country. Like a relatively not even relatively, of those four, obviously of those four, it is probably the most right-leaning of all four of those nations. Not just now, but just in a historical, political context. Japanese ultranationalism is just, each of those countries have some form of nationalism, obviously, but the nationalism of Japan is, of course, notoriously more right-leaning. The, nationalism in North Korea and China are obviously a lot more left-leaning, and South Korea, it has a little bit of a... South Korea is obviously more right-wing than China and North Korea, but again, none of these countries are necessarily known for their liberalization of gay rights. The only one is that, ironically, of those four, the one that is perceived to be, ironically, the most quote-unquote liberal on gay rights, to an extent, just because of the virtue of the media apparatus and the cultural, badness of not even cultural badness, but just culture of the Japanese media, it has Japan, because Japan is known for its more, let's just beat around, let's not beat around the bush. They're known for their, just known for, very strange animes that are a bit more, Yuri, Yaoi, and, other kinds of animes that are known for that, but there's also, again, it's just weird that it's weird that it's taken them this long to be to lead to have an actual open LGBTQI education thing, especially considering, again, as it mentions here, same-sex marriage isn't even legalized in the country. It's just weird, but it's weird and good. Hopefully this leads to better social progress for the Japanese LGBTQ community, and hopefully that leads to transitioning to broader left-wing politics in general in Japan. Anyways, now let's move on to the next story. The Brazilian court has convicted Eduardo Bolsonaro of courting U.S. interference. A panel on the Brazilian Supreme Court has voted to convict Eduardo Bolsonaro of lobbying the United States to interfere in the trial of his father, former right-wing president Jair Bolsonaro. On Tuesday, 3 of the 4 justices on the panel voted in favor of the conviction, with the remaining justice yet to vote. They determined that Eduardo Bolsonaro's actions amounted to coercion against Brazil's justice system and sentenced him to 4 years and 2 months in prison. It wasn't merely an expression of a political opinion or political stance, but rather conduct that clearly threatened Brazilian authorities and Brazilian citizens themselves, Justice Cristiano Zanin said, calling Eduardo Bolsonaro's actions illegitimate and criminal. Now, when I first heard this story, I at first thought this was way better than it was. because I was confused on which Bolsonaro child it was. See, this is Jair Bolsonaro's son, Eduardo. I thought he was the one that was running for president. No, he's not the one running for president. That's his brother, Flavio, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Flavio is the one running for president. So unfortunately, Lula still got some competition by Flavio Bolsonaro. And unfortunately, not even unfortunately, I don't know that. I was going to say unfortunately he looks like he's going to stay in the race, but I don't even know if he's like I mean, let's just do a quick run in the charts. Yeah, he's pretty much doing fine for the most part, but I mean, again, we just have to say this because, again, it's just, we're seeing all of these other fucking candidates and countries jailing their, leaders that do objectively evil crimes. Meanwhile, the ones that happen in the United States just, for some reason, can't be done. Anyways, let's just move on to the next story, because this is just another Latin America story. Ecuador has imposed a new state of exception in 10 provinces and 3 cantons in the face of organized crime. The president of Ecuador, Daniel Noboa, has ordered this Tuesday a new state of exception that will affect 10 of the country's 24 provinces and 3 cantons with an initial duration of 60 days, extended by another 30 if the conditions of insecurity that justify it are maintained, within offensives of the Ecuadorian government against organized crime. Now, for those who don't know what a state of exception is, hold on, right here. During the validity of the state of exception, the rights of the inviolability of the home and correspondence will be suspended. Thus, the police and armed forces will be empowered to intercept communications and carry out searches without prior judicial authorization in properties where there are indications of presence, members of organized armed groups, and possible weapons or substances thereof. The state of exception basically just means the government suspends all the rights of everybody and can do whatever the hell it wants. This is the exact same logic that was used by, I forget his name for a moment, I'm blanking on it. Fucking Nayib Bukele. That was the same thing he used, and the term state of exception is obviously notable because it is a term that was literally invented by the Nazis. That is literally what the Nazis did when they did the Reichstag. And I'm just taking a quick check. I'm pretty sure Quito is a province where, because there's actually a bit more about it that I think is interesting of note. If you do not remember, a while ago, Daniel Noboa suspended the rights of this political party, which is the Correa's party, with the party of former President Rafael Correa, and he's basically tried to do things to make this party less powerful in the country, in a similar way that Nayib Bukele did with the opposition of his political movement. That's exactly what he did with the left-wing parties in that country. So yeah, I mean, I hate to say it again, but the fact of the matter is, this situation is being done because, of course, the right-wing movements in Latin America are being given immense power directly by the United States president. This is literally Operation Condor Part 2. So yeah, I mean, there's honestly not much else for me to say on this topic. So let's move on to the next story, which is an interesting development purely about internal politics in Israel. Now, this is a news thing I saw. I saw this on Twitter at one point. There is a group in Israel called Standing Together, which is a protest movement, and I have it linked here because we'll get to that in a bit because it has information there. And they are forming a new political party in Israel called Makom Lekulanu, it translates to a place for all of us. It's led by people like Rula Dadu and Alan Green and Alan Green, co-founders of the Israeli-Palestinian Coexistence Organization Standing Together, and basically, this party is running to be a new political party that is set beyond the traditional landscape of Israeli politics. This is basically this party is basically intending to be completely new. It's intending to be a new activist-oriented party, obviously, given the fact that it's affiliated with the activist group Standing Together. Technically, the two groups are not connected, but they are effectively connected. But let's just get into just this. Like, this is the one thing I wanted to find out immediately. First, here are the founders of the organization, Alon Lee and Rula Daoud. Let's just do a quick check. Like, this is just something, hold on, let me see. August 2023, Israeli radio station canceled broadcasts in Petron Green after pressuring growing activists after the October 7th attacks. Green is still standing went on a speech tour and discussed our work. They visited DC, New York City, Boston area where thousands of people came to speak. The message was that Israeli Jews and Palestinians need to become partners and move beyond pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian labels. See, this is another thing. It's like this. They need to move beyond pro-Israel, pro-Palestine labels. They emphasized that Israeli and Palestinians deserve a new narrative, that radical empathy was essential. They were just made America's focus on limit tests, statements, ultimatums, especially on college campuses. Interesting of note. That approach calling for a ceasefire and a hostage to end the war. Among other initiatives, Green took part in the they are very much they get they have a lot of followers that are obviously connected to the anti-Zionism and stuff. But like the group specifically, let's just look at here. And this is another thing that we need to explain. Like this is just purely all the parts for the formation of a political party. Let's just read this part here. In order to run the 2026 nationalization, the leadership and the other decided to form a political party, a place for us all. There have been long rumors that Senate have been trying to become a political party since their founding, especially since the Gaza war protests in Israel. Apparently, they are very active in the Gaza war protests in Israel. Well, I mean, I think that framing is definitely one thing. Their self-stated goal was to promote a truly equal Jewish Arab political party with an equal number of Palestinian Israelis being represented on the list as Jewish Israelis. Upon the let's read that part again. With an equal number of Palestinian Israelis being represented on the list. Oh, okay. I misread that. I thought that it meant that Palestinian Israelis were being labeled as Jewish Israelis. I thought that's what it said. No. They're saying that there's equal amount of people of being both represented. Okay. Upon the founding of the party, Daoud proclaimed that we are being abandoned, murdered, our future is being burned, arguing that efforts to replace the government must be accompanied with a positive vision. Referring to the prime national security and finance ministers, she added, not only will we be part of the struggle to replace Benjamin Netanyahu, Ben Gvir, and Smotrich, but we will also lead the struggle for an Israeli-Palestinian peace, national equality, and social... At a conference of Nazareth, party members stated that their main issue was peace, social justice, soaring crime in Arab communities, the cost of living, climate justice. Party members have argued about the importance of this election, with Daoud claiming that this is the last moment to save our society. The party has also sought to boost feminist credentials, emphasizing their role in specifically Palestinian women leaders, with Stand Together organization, saying that no political party in today's Israeli politics is led by a woman. We know of only 40% of Arab women that intend to vote for the Knesset. That's due to various causes, but I believe lack of representation is one of them. Has many platforms, which includes specific issues about the Israeli Arab community, such as crime in the Arab localities. Alongside this, the party wants to withdraw the IDF from the Gaza Strip and Lebanon, that's one thing, and integrate Israel into the Middle East based on guidelines set by the Arab Peace Initiative. Let's take a little bit about the Arab Peace Initiative, known as the Saudi Initiative, 10 Senate's proposal to end the Arab-Israeli conflict, enforced by the Arab League and territory by Beirut. Palestinian reactions, Palestinian Authority, full support of Mahmoud Abbas. Of course, I would assume Hamas didn't like it. Like, basically, I mean, you can kind of already see some of the vibe that this party is giving off. It's not necessarily being, and we'll read this part here. Here's this part. This last section is the one that people might get interested about. Many have critiqued the new party as a potential spoiler that could allow Netanyahu to win the election, as it could siphon votes from Arab center-left parties like Theil. The party, on its part, said it would be willing to form a coalition with the opposition, even if, according to Weltman, that means accepting a center-right coalition led by Naftali Bennett, Yair Lapid, and Gadi Eshkenot. So also argued that Makum Lakun might run with Hadash, and at its founding, the party sought to remain independent. This is the thing that is interesting about. This is the thing that is immediately a thing. The parties that have been the most critical of, the people that have been the most critical of A Place for All have been Theil and Hadash. Two of the parties in Israel that I basically completely trust. In Israel, if you know anything about the Israeli political party system, you know that a lot of the parties fucking suck. A lot of them suck. Likud sucks. Yeshitid sucks. Shas, bad. I basically completely only like these two parties, really. Let's see. Balad's not that bad, but otherwise, basically in the mainstream Israeli politics, i.e. these parties, it's Hadash Ta'al, and maybe you might give like a brief, maybe hypothetical, I ultimately want the joint list to come back together, and the joint list is basically all of the Arab Israeli parties that have been trying to get together. But even then, it says here that Tal and Balad is probably going to only be the ones who join with the joint list and not Ram. But one of the things that is almost immediately, you may notice out of all these things that I've been saying, they have not really said any definitive stance on Israel, on the stance of issues of Zionism. And as I just showed you with the fucking Israeli political party system, Zionism, revisionist Zionism for Likud, liberal Zionism for Yesh Atid, religious Zionism for Shas, liberal Zionism for Blue and White, religious Zionism for the Religious Zionist Party. There's no specific Zionism stance on United Torah Judaism. Do they have a Zionist stance? Haredi non-Zionism. Yeah, I remember that. They're Kahanis, revisionist Zionists, labor Zionists, religious Zionists, Hadash Ta'al. This is where it gets a little tricky. United Arab List doesn't have a stance on Israel. They're also kind of mostly focused on issues in Israel. They kind of support a two-state solution, but otherwise they don't really have a particular stance on Zionism. Technically, Hadash Ta'al technically don't have a stance on Zionism either, kind of, because it's a little bit complicated. When I inevitably have to do a video on the upcoming Israeli election, it's you'll see why Ta'al is technically an anti-Zionist party, although I think they're technically more non-Zionist, kind of. I don't know, but I think maybe they're not as hardline. Hadash is kind of also technically, I think they're technically non-Zionist. I think technically they are non-Zionist, but and if you don't know what the term non-Zionism means, non-Zionism basically means you're not technically, it means that you support the right of a Jewish state technically, but you do not go on Ayala yourself. Now let's see. They don't have him here. I don't think they see. Yeah, he's here. For Kasif has clearly changed some things about this a little bit because he is openly anti-Zionist. But again, as you can see, Standing Together does not have an official stance on Zionism. Technically, what the position that they are technically a part of is post-Zionism. That's technically their stance. And let's read a little bit about post-Zionism, because this is important. Post-Zionism is the opinion of some Israelis, diaspora Jews, and others, particularly in academia, that Zionism has fulfilled its ideological mission with the formation of the modern state of Israel in 1948, and the Zionist ideology should therefore be considered at an end. The Jewish right also use the term to refer to the Israeli left in the light of the Oslo Accords. Some critics associate post-Zionism with anti-Zionism. See, post-Zionism effectively, and this is the thing about this, because I just did a quick check of this category at one point when I saw that was the page. A lot of the people who are considered post-Zionists are not necessarily the best. Okay, I guess this is the guy I guess this party is not that bad. I don't know the full ins and outs about this particular figure and this particular guy. I don't know anything about this particular guy or this particular party, but one of the people on here is at least a couple of, okay, well, so again, I guess they're now putting a bunch of the left-wing people on here. I knew Judas Butler was on here. One of them was a literal member of, right here. He's a revisionist. This is a revisionist Zionist who's being labeled as a post-Zionist. Cook repeatedly referred himself as a post-Zionist and also one of the first Israeli scientists to voluntarily adopt the term. So that's immediately a red flag to an extent. In Israel, the only parties that are good are Hadash, Ta'al, and Balad. They're the only parties that are good. So the only way I could even remotely trust that party is if that party join the coalition with Hadash Tal and join the joint list. That's the only way I would even trust that party. Otherwise, I don't trust that party at all. Anyways, there's not much else for me to say, so let's move on to the next story. And it's coming from Drama in regarding the Party of Socialism and Liberation. If you don't know what the Party of Socialism and Liberation is, that's a bit of a can of worms in and of itself. I just put this part up so that you would see some of the things. It's a very famous party. It was a socialist party, communist party formed in 2004. It's basically been a political. It's basically been the party of quote unquote tankies, I guess. It is technically the party that is best known for being the quote unquote tanky party. Like it is. Like, I mean, like here's the political position. It's like PS is a Marxist-Leninist party, Marxist, and other socialists like Hawkins and like again, it is basically again the party that is considered the like again. I keep referring to it as the tanky party because that's what it is. It is the party of the tankies to an extent. That if that's the term that you want to use, that's just the fact. You would like when you think tankies, you would think people of Party of Socialism and Liberation. That's what you would think of, for better and for worse. And to some extent, some people argue there is worse because there's like people who people are concerned about like the connections of like this guy, Neville Singham, whatever. This party's also gotten into some controversies and here's one of the most infamous controversies that a lot of people have found, and it was where a guy who was affiliated with the PSL murdered 2 people in the Israeli embassy, and while the PSL of course denied, they of course didn't like it. They also said like Rodriguez was not a PSL member, but people were like, it's just like the connection was there, and I honestly thought that at this moment the U.S. government would start like railing hard against the PSL, and to be fair, I guess they kind of are, because I think the whole Hassan Piker and like code pick thing is them again trying to get to him. I think I'm pretty sure that's the point. That's what Hassan said on the thing, but that's beside the point. Another thing that's a big controversy is involved this moment. This guy named what's his name? His name's on here somewhere. Walter Smolark. He is a controversial PSL member, and he recently resigned from the PSL, leading to a bit of a fracture. And one people made funny point out, because it was basically the same thing that happened with the PSL when it was first formed, where they claimed randomly that the Workers' World Party was no longer capable of fulfilling the mission of building socialism. And he basically made the same claim here. But this guy is also pretty controversial because he is a figure that has kind of tainted the image of the PSL to a lot of people. Because he was basically in charge of... Did they cover it? Did they cover it in this article? Let me see. But basically, this guy was in charge of like trying to cover up sexual assault allegations that happened within the PSL. And I guess it's interesting that this happens kind of right when, again, the PSL, because the PSL has started to slowly become a bit more powerful. Like, I mean, the PSL was there, but they were never really like a really big notable powerhouse in left-wing politics, obviously. They've always been kind of like, basically in America, again, I mean, we kind of know this if we look at like minor party politics, but like, in America, like DSA is basically the de facto movement for socialists in America. If you want to be the cooler than thou socialist, you would join, you would vote for the Green Party. But if you wanted to be like truly the cool kid in this class, you'd join the PSL. But again, the PSL was again kind of like, just kind of like a smaller fringe party, technically. It notes that they're increasingly directed. Apparently the party uses AI now, but they're just really not doing so hot. Oh, and yeah, this is another part that's showing like controversy within the party. A particularly alarming claim in Smolark's letter alleges that the PSL is now spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to employ software developers to build an AI-powered secret police system with the objective of spying on members of every PSL branch in the country. Its stated purpose is to compile reports that the national leadership will use to ensure compliance with national directives. And see, another thing about the PSL that is relevant in regards to talking about, like, a quote-unquote, again, it being a tanky party. It being, like, that kind of stuff. because they hold the ideological framework of democratic centralism, where basically the viewpoint is the parties for liberation, they hold a vote on a motion, and if the party if the party decides this specific ideological framework will be done, and we will all join this ideology, what ends up happening is that every single party member now has to follow that party line, and basically each branch of the party kind of is perceived as just a true extension of the national branch. Now, I don't know. Like, I mean, I might go a bit more in depth about this when I inevitably have to do a party liberation video, because it's coming. It will happen. It has to happen. I know what's gonna happen. I mean, I have a party history video written and ready to go. And when I do it, I inevitably will have to put a poll, and the poll will be, what political party do you guys want me to do next? And I know what one's going to win. It's going to be the PSL. Everybody's going to vote for the PSL. And everybody will want me to talk about the PSL. And the PSL is going to be the most difficult party for me. Well, I don't know if it will be the most difficult party for me to cover, because I'm kind of like open with the fact about like my criticisms of the parties, even within the party history videos. I try to be as objective as I can, obviously, I just want to report the facts, but I'm not also going to shy away from certain criticisms, like when I point it out. Like, I mean, I'll make a joke. Like, if the party celebration does something stupid in the video, I'll make a comment or a joke about it. I did the same with the Socialist Workers Party, I did the same with the SLP, I did the same with the Communist Party. I did it with all of them, and I'll do it with more. Anyways, let's move on to the next story, because this is an interesting story that just kind of randomly happened. So apparently, Peter Thiel has a secret society that is currently has at least 200 of the world's elites registered. And they have a really big problem. Okay, the group is called Dialogue. It's a private, invitation-only organization co-founded in 2006 by the billionaire tech investor Peter Thiel. It convenes U.S. officials, foreign government figures, and Silicon Valley executives at an off-the-record annual retreats. Dialogue has spent 2 decades declining to disclose its members. A director at the website's code was first revealed by the Swiss activist named Maya Arsen Kimru, known for their exposing the U.S. government's no-fly list and breaching the surveillance camera company Veracada. And let's see. It says like it basically details at least the names of 222 people and describes their members' registration status, including active, guest, and who is going to be going to their most recent event at Dublin. And their program has sessions like Money Does Buy Happiness, Bring Back Nuclear, Navigating World War III, Battlefield Technologies, How's Your Sex Life, and also How to Build a Cult, or, moderated by the co-founder of the Christian networking site Pray.com and Build a Party run by former high-house security fan. These are 2 interesting developments. Build a party, I wonder what parties they're building, and Build a Cult, again moderated by a founder of a Christian networking site. The registration list includes people like Alexis Griniewicz, NATO's Supreme Allied Commander in Europe and head of the European Command, 2 senators, at least 2 senators. Let's see, Ted Cruz, has Scott Bessonette in here, the Palantir co-founder Joe Johnsdale, Representative Jim Hines, Army Secretary Dan Diskrul, and apparently more names are being released every day. At one point, there are some people who have stated that there are some names on the list that include names like, this could be completely fabrication online, don't quote me on this, but there are some people who have actually went online and said that even people like Cory Booker and Julian Castro are invited to these meetings, have either been to these meetings in the past or have been to other meetings. And the thing is, according to the person who actually posted like this list initially, who they literally tried to correct the record and explain like the reason why all these other sites are reporting these people who are not in my list is because more lists have been revealed. And yeah, this probably might have a part to play in a future episode of the main series videos, because this is definitely interesting, because it's like, one, like, this just shows, again, just like the rich elite just being fucking stupid, like telling people how to build a cult and build a party. It's like, again, now you can kind of piece together like, these certain movements that kind of pop up out of nowhere, interesting developments. But also, I just find it interesting that, like, again, I also just find this part interesting. Bring back nuclear. This is one of their main priorities, apparently. Bring back nuclear. And again, I have to notice that magically a lot of left-wingers, notice how they magically started like talking super pro-nuclear energy for some reason? Interesting. Much the same way that when nuclear energy was, of course, shat on, of course, that was because, I mean, I guess it's just the Garfield meme again. You're not immune to propaganda. Even if you're doing it well-intentioned, you're not immune to propaganda, my friends. Anyways, speaking of propaganda, let's re-propagandize about something that I should have been propagandizing a million times ago. Stop killing games. Now, stop killing games. You may have heard of this. I have heard of this, but I did not actually pay attention to stop killing games. I probably should have been paying attention to stop killing games, but I have not historically been paying attention to this movement, even though, again, given certain events of this, I will inevitably pay attention to it a bit more. Now, because it was a little bit hard to figure out what this movement was about technically, because purely, I don't know, in the modern day of gaming, in the gaming industry, it's hard to tell when a movement is kind of like completely genuinely good, and if a movement is completely fucking horseshit. And nowhere is this more relevant than the fact that at one point in time, the SJW movement, like the anti-SJW movement, was super big online, and sure enough, that was a big AstroTurf campaign to an extent as well. So it was just like, what is this movement? Well, this movement is actually a bit more interesting, a bit more of a good thing. Now let me explain why it's a good thing. I guess I could actually just play this if it's on Wikipedia. It's like, I could play it.
I'm the founder of the Stop Killing Games movement, and this is a reaction to me hating seeing video games destroyed, where the general practice is you buy a video game, then at some undisclosed point in the future, the publisher disables it, then they keep your money and you can never play it again. And this has led to destruction of more video games than any other practice I'm aware of. And I've been kind of working backwards from my conclusion, which is just to stop this. And that's gone several different methods through government channels for some of them. But the big one we have going on right now is a European Citizens Initiative, where if it gets enough signatures, and it looks like it might, this goes before the EU Commission for them to hear it out and hopefully pass a law on it. And best I can tell, your position is you have similar views on the end goal, which is stop the games from being destroyed, but we have disagreements on how we go about this. So we can try and figure it out.
So yeah, basically, as it's basically explaining the factoid. This is, I guess, like the initial thing that kind of led to this movement. The Crew being a 2014 racing game developed by Ubisoft. Ubisoft delisted the game in 2023, and expansions for digital platforms, suspending sales of microtransactions, and announced that the game servers will be shut down. Setting upcoming server. Ubisoft offered refunds to people who recently purchased the Crew, though through the time window. And then it, of course, shut down. And Rick Scott is a YouTuber who, Accursed Farms, he was on Channel Awesome for a little bit, and he basically was like, yeah, this is pretty fucked up, that a game company can just shut down a game. Because this is like a big problem. It's like been a movement for a big thing about gaming and stuff that has been going on for like a long period of time. Everybody makes that joke where it's like, remember when I was a kid, you used to be able to put a game in a console, you push start and you push A and you play it. But now, in order to play a game, you have to, download it online. You have to download them. You have to do this. You have to make sure the server's online. Everything. And the problem is, and this is the big one, the game was designed to require constant internet connection to Ubisoft's online service to play, including for play and single player. That's another problem with the gaming industry that, of course, has been a big thing. Where it's like, even for a single player game that has no reason to be online, that has no reason to have any connection to the internet, for some reason, it has to have an online serviceable database. It has to have a connection to the internet, and you need to have this, whatever. And everybody's criticizing this, But it's like, also people are now realizing that this has always been the rules of gaming. This has always been because it's the thing, like literally, if you read the gaming like stuff, if you read like sort of like, the back of the game box, these kind of things are like just common knowledge about the fact. You don't pay, everybody's pointing this out, like, if you don't own like it's like the same thing that people say about like the thing that they're doing now is like saying like, if buying isn't ownership, then piracy is theft. Piracy was never theft, but the fact of the matter is, that's the thing that they're saying, but the thing is, buying a game has never been ownership. That's the thing that people don't realize. It's never been ownership. When you buy a movie, when you buy a game, you do not buy the game. You are buying a license to use that game for the specific purpose of playing that game. That's all you can do. You can't privately mod it. You can't privately do anything about it. You can't do anything else. You can only, your purpose is buy a movie, you put it in, you watch it, and then when you get bored, you put it in and watch it again. That's all you can do about it. You're technically not even really allowed to resell it. But, of course, with a physical copy of a thing, with a physical copy of a game, with a physical copy of a movie, obviously, that was kind of less noticeable. But as the industry has now shifted primarily towards the digital, nowadays, it's like increasingly becoming more obvious that you truly do not own the things that you buy. And unfortunately, Stop Killing Games has reached a bad element, a crossroads, because the European Commission has announced their response to this event. And let's read their press release. The European Commission will engage with consumers and publishers by the end of 2026 to explore ways to improve industry standards as a response to the European Citizens Initiative to Stop Destroying Video Games. Modern video games often rely on publisher servers to function. Publishers may stop supporting these servers, leading to the games to become partially or entirely unplayable. The ECI, therefore, invited the Commission to propose legislation ensuring that players can continue to play the video games after the publishers stop providing support for these games commercially. The Commission considers that at this stage, it cannot propose a legal obligation to keep video games playable after they stop being provided commercially. This is due also to existing intellectual property rights. Under EU copyright law, rights holders enjoy exclusive rights over their creations. In addition to copyright, other intellectual property rights may also be relevant as they may protect different visual and technological aspects of a video game. Existing EU consumer law already provides for important safeguards on protecting the economic interests of consumers. Video game providers must inform consumers about the duration and conditions for terminating the contract before the consumers sign up for their video games. The Directive on Digital Content and Digital Services provides the consumers with remedies when the content or service provided does not conform with its contract or what consumers could be technically reasonably expected. Consumers may be entitled to a proportionate refund of their purchase. And this is immediately why I think this is important for me to talk about intellectual property rights and copyright law. It is because of intellectual property rights that this common sense, obviously good thing can't be done. That's always a big thing. It's like intellectual property rights are the thing that keeps stopping all of these good things. People don't like that video game companies can do this, but due to intellectual property rights, they have every right to do it. Because it's the thing. They own it. You don't. You don't own it. You don't own it. It's like, it's a fact. That's just the fact of the world. You do not own that digital game that you purchased. Like, I mean, I should probably look in for like what the fucking like digital cards on the Switch do, because it's just like, I don't even know what they do. It's just weird. It's just, the fact of the matter is, it's just a fact. We need to actually talk about fully reform, like, I mean, because we can talk about all this stuff all day. This is relevant. I mean, not to say that Stop Killing Games isn't good, but this is the fact. As long as intellectual property rights as they exist now exist, then these issues can never be resolved. It's the same thing with like a lot of systems, a lot of things that we have now. Until a certain thing is fixed first, then nothing can be fixed on that regard. Like people like talk about Israel-Palestine. Israel-Palestine won't be solved until we officially are able to actually make it so that AIPAC and all these like massive like foreign lobbies can stop giving money to politicians. Like, we need to get money out of politics to fix basically any issues, because most of those issues are directly, and it's the same thing like also broadly just like capitalism. Many of these issues are caused by capitalism. And it's the same thing with this. Like, the reason why this works, and this is why the game companies do it this way, is because in capitalism, they have not been punished. Like, they own the monopolies on these industries. What are you gonna do? Like, I mean, Nintendo. What are you gonna do? What are you actually gonna do that Nintendo does this? Like, Nintendo does this thing where it's like, this game is now off the Nintendo eShop, and now we're gonna make it so that no one can play it anymore. What are you gonna do? You're gonna go to Xbox? Xbox does the same thing. You're gonna go to PlayStation? They do the same thing. You're gonna go to PC? They do the same thing. You can't go to anyone else because they all do it. Because we've allowed them to do this for so long. So unless you want to address intellectual property or even just capitalism in general, I don't think we're going to be able to solve any of these problems. Anyway, speaking of that, let's move on to the main topic of this video. And in this episode, I just thought it'd be fun to go over some Pride Month related stuff. I don't know if we're going to be going over all of the... I don't think I'm going to watch all the way up to here. At most, I might watch the first 3 videos of the Pride Month. But realistically, I might just watch the first 2. Because I think these 2 are probably... Or even just this one. Because I think it's just interesting to see. And... I mean, I just kind of want to watch them. I mean, I kind of want to watch this one specifically. I kind of like do like watching my old videos to see like, what I do wrong, what I do good, what I do whatever. And just to do a quick thing, I'm also going to put the Wikipedia page of the LGBTQ first in politics next to it before I start the video, just so I can fact check, because I do kind of want to fact check, because I'm pretty sure some of the information in this video is wrong. Alright, so here we go. Let's just watch the first Pride Month video I ever did. And yeah, this is an interesting comment that was came here. Craig still denies that he's gay. But whatever. Let's just watch it. And yeah, this video, old, June 27th of 2019, pretty old. So let's just get into it.
Yeah, I know the month's almost over. Happy Pride Month, everyone. Yeah, I know the month's almost over, but nobody told me before June that June was Pride Month, so like every major corporation...
Yeah, that is true. I didn't know that June was Pride Month until literally like the week before I made this episode.
And I've decided to cash in on this, but instead of just slapping a gay pride flag...
Gross.
Corporation, I've decided to cash in on this, but
gross. This... Gross. Senate also is Democrat. And Jill Stein logo.
Instead of just slapping a gay pride flag on my product,
yeah, and also I just remembered this fucking video was made in fucking like you could tell by the fucking audio quality it's not good, but it's also I made this in the fucking like is this the 480p era? Yeah, it's the 480p era. Ooh, yeah.
We'll go over some LGBT firsts in U.S. politics and give some info about them, because what else am I gonna do? No segues, let's just get right into it.
Oh yeah, and also I included that sound clip was from the Filthy Frank episode, from Filthy Frank, if you don't know. That was from my Filthy Frank, that was a Filthy Frank transition from my Filthy Frank video. I forget which one it was.
No segues, let's just get right into it. The first LGBT, specifically gay, people to be elected to office in the United States that we know of were Norman Jesse and Dan Johnson, both of whom were elected to the Iowa State House in 1967 as Democrats.
Okay, let me just want to take a brief look up just because I just want to check, because I know this one exclusively refers to openly gay people. This Wikipedia page, they used to have one where it was just like truly just gay people in general, but like I think this one is just I think the page now is just openly gay people. It was while I was just scrolling it after I paused it just to get a brief thing that yeah, there they are. Norman Thomas and Dan Johnson. Norman Jesse. Jesse was gay and his partner was, Dan Johnson. Like these were I like their story. Their story's cool because they're like secretly gay lovers. It's like Johnson was the lawyer of Tinker de Mornay. Interesting. I didn't know that. That's actually pretty interesting. So this is good for re-election. Pursue the members of homosexuality. Continue commenting and clock. Anybody has any specific question? But yeah, let's just take a quick check. 19. I'll just put a 5 just to be 50. No. Put a 6. And yeah, that's accurate. They were as far as we know, the earliest people who were LGBTQ in the United States. I mean, not the United States House, but like they were in the Iowa House. That is a true fact.
While we know they're gay now, they were not out at the time of their election, even going so far as to live across the street from each other and barely seeing each other. Johnson was also known for serving as a lawyer on the Supreme Court case Tinker v. Des Moines.
Yeah, I included that. I completely forgot. Wow.
Click here for more info.
Yeah, I also like to shout out Mr. Beat, because he's a small YouTuber that needs my support.
They were partners for 35 years until Jesse's death, and Johnson also passed away in 2016.
First lesbian. I do like the fact that I did this. I was able to do this, because this is the one thing I do kind of miss about, like, I mean, I guess I could technically do it in my current editing software, OpenShot, but it's slightly more difficult to do because it like glitches the thing or whatever.
The first lesbian.
Well, it doesn't really glitch it per se. It kind of does. It just kind of makes it slightly like difficult. I mean, I would probably show you, but I don't really want to do it at this particular moment. But like, whatever.
Person to be elected to.
I think this is the old lesbian flag too. This is the old one too, right? Is it? Mom, where's the blue link? Where's a blue link for lesbian? There's no blue link for fucking lesbian? The fuck? Yeah, see, this is the newer one. That was the older lesbian flag. Yeah, that one got into relevance in 2019. Right after this video came out, I would assume. Or I guess right during.
Political office was Elaine Noble, who was elected to the Massachusetts House of Representatives in 1975 as a Democrat. She was also...
Elaine Noble, let's check. Actually... What? Hold on. Yeah, I was wrong. No, I was technically right. Kind of. You see, because this is the one. This one specifically like ruins it all. Because Kathy Kozachenko was the real first openly lesbian. Let me see. Well, the first openly gay and lesbian elected official in the United States. Now, yeah, Elaine Noble was elected after. Like, I mean, she was. Hold on, let me see. I guess technically, let's check the. April 2nd. She was elected April 2nd. Does it specifically say when Elaine Noble was elected? No, I guess it's just broadly. But yeah. Her, like Kathy being the choice here instead of Elaine Noble is. I do like Elaine Noble's story, and we'll get into why Elaine Noble's story is interesting because obviously early first of like LGBTQ rights and the movement are pretty interesting. But Kathy probably would have been also better, at least for that specific time period of the channel, because she was also a minor party candidate. She was elected under the Human Rights Party, which was at one point it was a Socialist Party affiliate, and then I think it broke from the Socialist Party, and then it merged into the Socialist Party. It was founded by this guy. Was he gay? I forget. He was a DSA member, I know that. But was he gay? I thought he was gay. I could be wrong. But yeah. But yeah, let's just keep watching this.
Who was elected to the Massachusetts House of Representatives in 1975 as a Democrat. She was also the first openly gay person to be elected to political office.
Wrong.
Which didn't help her be treated nicely during the campaign.
Actually, that's not even true even for her. Like, I mean, these were two people who were elected earlier than both of them as openly people. But yeah, no, I was way worse. Nancy was the first. She was 72. She was 1972. Was she? Yeah. So I was wrong on two fronts.
Her windows got shot in, her car got destroyed, her campaign headquarters had their windows broken, and she had her supporters suffer severe harassment. She served 2 terms and later served in the first LGBT delegation for the White House under the Carter administration.
Even back then, I was a little copyright thief. I was a little thief.
And even made an unsuccessful run for Senate in 1978.
That Senate run is actually fucking interesting. You know who she ran against in this fucking race? That's weird. Let me see if it has it on the fucking wiki page. Because it's really weird. In the Senate race, they don't have it on the fucking, like, they don't lead directly to it for some fucking reason. Does it have here a link to it? Why wouldn't it fucking link to it? Right, here we go. 1978, Massachusetts. I'll just put gubernatorial election and it'll lead me to the Senate election. Massachusetts. Hopefully it has the fucking primary page. Yeah, here it is. She ran against, like, not just Paul Tsongas, but she also ran against the fucking, like, founder of the Constitution Party. What was he doing here? Oh, okay. His plan was apparently to split the liberal vote. And yeah, they would have beaten the Edward Brooke.
The first bisexual person to be elected to office that we know of was U.S. Representative from Connecticut, Stuart McKinney, who was elected in 1971 as a Republican.
All right, let's see.
Much like Stuart McKinney, who was elected in 1971 as a Republican.
1971, okay. Stuart McKinney, 1971. Let's check. Bisexual. Bisexual, that's her. Openly bisexual. Bisexual. Yep, all these ones are after him. All these ones on this page for all the lower level officials are after him. But he would also be exclusively on the Congress page. And yep, first bisexual after, like, 1971. He was right. I was right. First bisexual person. Yeah, these are all, like, because they're, like, these are really interesting just to see, like, the ones that were, like, the one that I was, I guess I didn't really know the full ins and outs about, like, David Koch. Because, I mean, not David Koch, Edward Koch. Or I guess Koch, whatever his name is. I don't know how you pronounce his name, but, like, he was, like, apparently one of the most infamously known gay members of the United States House of Representatives. But everyone kept it a secret. Everyone kept it a hush-hush. But, yeah. Basically, that was just kind of a interesting development. History of LGBTQ members of Congress. That's funny. United States Congress establishment, 0. As far as we know. We don't know. I mean, we could be wrong. Should have representatives. Okay, that's interesting. Anyways, I'm going to keep this page up.
Much like Jesse and Johnson, he was not out during his tenure. He was actually outed in a very strange way. First, he died of AIDS on May 7th, 1987. Now you might say, oh, isn't that a bit offensive just to say, oh, just because someone died of AIDS, they had to be bisexual. They couldn't have got it through the injection or anything.
Yeah, that was, you could tell these are my earlier videos because I was not as good as doing that kind of stuff, just like the talking and stuff. But also,
First, he died.
Also, I want you to take notice of this specific, like, thing. There's two things about this
AIDS
frame
on
that
May
are
7th,
interesting.
1987. Now you might say, oh.
Like, one, I'm pretty sure this was masked because the old, like, this software was actually somewhat really good at masking. I still have trouble with masking kind of stuff in my current software, but, like, this one was really good at masking stuff. But also, pay attention to this like figure again. Pay attention to the troll face.
Isn't that a bit offensive just to say, oh, just because someone died of AIDS, they had to be bisexual? They couldn't have got it through the injection or anything.
Notice how it's spinning in that very specific way? That's because this old video editing software, which is the pre-installed software on the computer, that software had like preloaded like dragging motions. And I discovered way too late into my online career using that software that you could edit your own paths. I discovered it way too late. But now I can edit all the paths that I want on my own.
My counterpoint is that in his will, he left this property to his gay lover, Arnold Denson, as opposed to his wife. However, later on in the vid, I may say something that might contradict this, but as far as we know, McKinney was the first bisexual person to be elected to U.S. office.
Did I link her? No, I have to link this after the video fucking comes out, because I have to link cause just by the fact that I'm saying this, you know exactly who this is gonna be. I mean, you already know, because you should probably know, because I've covered the story like at least twice already. But yeah, just let me just do a quick check on Stuart McKinney. Let's see, Stuart McKinney, just like complications, vision, especially as a result of blood. Oh yeah, because that's one of the things. They tried to hide his like blood transfusion at first, but he was known by his friends as bisexual, though his family said it was not the case, which raised issues of how he contracted the disease, anti-gay prejudice at the time of McKinney's death. In 1987, might have promoted a disingenuous approach to the speculation that caused McKinney's Arnold Denson, the man whom McKinney had been living with in Washington, whom McKinney left property to in his will, had said that he was McKinney's lover, and he believed that McKinney was already infected when Denson met him 5 years prior. And this other thing that's also interesting, like McKinney's death was specifically what inspired Barney Frank to come out as gay. That's actually something like somewhat inspiring about Barney Frank, even though I know he's kind of cringe, especially because he decided to spend his fucking like last will of life to fucking like destroy the left wing of the Democratic Party. And then he fucking failed immediately. And because he was the first guy who came out as gay in office, and Stuart McKinney was a closeted bisexual. And he basically was like, it's like basically what happened was that Barney Frank basically said like he was like a little bit like concerned because he didn't want, because even to this, not necessarily to this day, I don't know, but he did, like, because this is just the history, like you can see the history over here, like about like the people who were in office. Like, I mean, Ed Koch had denied he was gay his entire life, and then he was later identified as, you know, gay long after he died. Same thing with Barbara Jordan. Gary Stubbs was outed because he was a pedophile. Robert Bauman was forcibly outed, which basically ended his political career, because you see here he was outed as gay in 1980, and then this guy he came out like long after he left office. He was outed as gay after being arrested in the charge of oral sodomy. And again, interesting to note. And Barney Frank basically was just like, especially like the one that really caught his attention was like, because, you know, again, a lot of these stuff happened in the 1980s before like all this stuff. But Stuart McKinney died in 87. And again, he was like, been like, oh, is he or isn't he? And Barney Frank did not want that to be the case for him. And that's why he came out.
The first transgender person to be elected to office was Althea Garrison, who was elected to Massachusetts House of Representatives in 1993 as a Republican. She was not open and was outed in the worst way. Boston.
I mean, hold on. I just want to check because
she was not open.
Because I don't know what. Oh, now I know what I did. I put two like these are 2 lines. And I guess I just sized the lines wrong. I don't know.
And was outed in the worst way. Boston Herald reporter Eric Furstrom tracked down her birth certificate, asked her if she was a man, then wrote a story saying that she, quote, left questions about her past life unanswered. She suffered more transphobic remarks, like another conservative writer, Howie Carr, saying, I've always liked Althea. She has a big heart, not to mention big feet and very big hands. She was a one.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, hold on. Like, these guys are these guys are fucking so fucking closeted, dude. Cause like, why are you looking at Althea's feet, bro?
Term member of the state house, unfortunately. Later, she ended up becoming
Like a picture of our campaign. That is a fucking like, yeah.
a perennial candidate and currently serves in the Boston City Council, succeeding Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley. The first LGBT senator that we know of was Harris Wofford, who was elected in a 1991 special election to represent Pennsylvania as a Democrat. He was well known for trying to get universal health care during the 1990s and being the second choice for VP in 1992. He was a one-term senator, not due to his sexuality, because he didn't come out as bisexual until 2016. That's 2 years prior to the first open bisexual person to be elected to the Senate. No. He lost the old-fashioned way for Democrats to lose in the 1990s, the Republican Revolution. And I mean, it really sucks that he had to come out as bisexual in 2016 because he died 3 years later. He really only had 3 years that he could look at a person and say, this is my husband and I am proud to be in love and married to him. Happy Pride Month!
That's cold, bro. I don't know why. Was that joke in poor taste? Was that joke in poor taste? I don't know, man. I don't know. I think that joke was in partial poor taste, but yeah, it was also kind of funny.
The first LGBT governor of a U.S. state was Jim McGreevey.
Jim McGreevey. Jim McGreevey. Jim McGreevey. Jim McGreevey. Jim McGreevey. Jim McGreevey. Jim McGreevey. Jim McGreevey. Jim McGreevey. I think I'm gonna wait a little bit. Just wanna let's just play this part first.
New Jersey in 2002. While his tenure had accomplishments like implementing a stem cell research plan and signing the first domestic partnership law for same-sex couples.
Also, I just find it funny that back in the old days, I just fucking like I just gotta be real, bro. If this channel could get fucking taken out of any of these fucking image sites like found me, because I just fucking like just took any photo I saw online and just put it in this video, in this shit. I don't know, bro. I at least try to be slightly more conscientious about the photos I choose now. You know, try to go on like the Creative Commons thing on like fucking like Wikipedia. But even then, I don't fucking care. I mean, not all of them, but you know. I mean, if I can't find one, what else am I going to do? Not have an image on the screen?
He was also plagued by plenty of scandals, the biggest one being on how he appointed Israeli consultant Golan Sipel to be his Homeland Security advisor, despite the fact that he had no prior experience. Why is that? Well, you see, they were having a little bit of fun on the side. Depending on who you ask, it was either harassment or a consensual affair. Either way, Sipel threatened to file a sexual harassment lawsuit against him, which led to McGreevey to come out and announce that he would resign August 12th, 2004, which he did inevitably on November 15th of that year.
Israel. It was that could be a fucking yeah. Well, I actually kind of want to check something real quick. I tried to check if he had an online presence just to see what his stance was on the current Israel affair, but he's apparently gone dark. He has a website where he basically just goes over his story about his controversy with Jim McGreevey, but otherwise, not really anything. I guess you're probably like, why are these ones the videos linked? Oh, I know why.
Now, you see, this is interesting because this is an actually debatable topic because we really don't 100% know who's the first LGBT presidential candidates. Some people say it's one guy, some people say it's another guy, some people aren't really sure what to believe, especially considering even now LGBT people have a hard time coming out because there could be a lot of repercussions. They could lose their house or whatever. So imagine back then where you could get freaking killed because of it. So
also, unfortunately, we can see that there's a lot of dead space because this was like in the immediate aftermath of my 2018 phase when I was kind of like slightly shifting the way the content was being done so I could keep getting things done faster, but we all know that eventually that didn't work out, but whatever.
So, historians have really narrowed it down to 3 possible options, the first being John Hospers of the Libertarian Party in 1972. He has been widely believed to be gay, albeit not openly. His family has constantly denied him being gay, but many libertarians choose to believe this to be the case. The one that has more consensus in this field is David McReynolds of the Socialist Party USA in 1980. He was openly gay, so there's really no dispute in regards to his sexuality, so even if he's not the first LGBT presidential candidate, at least he's the first open one. I'll go more in depth about him when I do a video about the Socialist Party USA. But the most disputed and the most interesting contender for the spot is someone that you might expect or not expect. It kind of comes completely...
Yeah, and I guess I gotta go into that like tangent when I get to that.
...out of left field. The 13th President of the United States, James Buchanan. James Buchanan was well known for being a bachelor, and historians have speculated as to why that is, and like a 12-year-old girl on Tumblr, it inevitably leads to gayness. Well, of course, there's a lot of historians that just say, no, he was just a bachelor because
it's the same. See, the same movement as the troll face
and Carolyn Coleman. A lot more historians have been saying maybe he was gay or at the very least bisexual because of one simple thing: his relationship with brief Franklin Pierce VP William Rufus King. Many historians have raised their eyebrow to their relationship, and here are some reasons why. They lived in the same house for 10 years. They consistently made public appearances with each other. Andrew Jackson was known for calling King, quote, Miss Fancy. Prominent Democrat,
that was a misnomer. He said the actual quote was Miss
King,
Nancy.
Quote, Miss Fancy. Prominent Democrat Erin V. Brown called King Buchanan's better half, Buchanan's wife, and Aunt Fancy, a term meaning an effeminate man. His expulsion for the Lanchester Church was attributed to his dough-faced views, views that he did not have before his relationship with King. And, of course, there's actually some speculation that it was asexuality, such as Buchanan being quoted as writing in his journal saying that he'd be okay marrying a woman if she'd accept his, quote, lack of ardent or romantic affection. And 3 out of 4 you just thought he was a bachelor.
Yeah, I'm gonna make this poll again. Because not on Twitter. Fuck Twitter. I'm gonna make this poll again because I definitely want to make that the poll of the day. What do you think James Buchanan is? Is he gay? Is he bi? Is he ace? Or is he just a straight bachelor?
So anyways, let's move on to the last segment of this video.
Yeah, but I guess I gotta briefly go over James Buchanan, because why not? I don't know why. No. Let's just see if there's a little bit of more of a historical consensus on it on the Wikipedia page. Let's see. Right here. Buchanan's close relationship with William Rufus King. That drew speculation on the later historical contention. King, like Buchanan, was never married. King was in Alabama. King once referred to the relationship as a communion. Okay, that's a piece of information that I think would be noted. And Jackson mockingly called him Miss Nancy and Aunt Fancy, the former being a 19th century free feminism for gay men. Essentially, gay man, effeminate man, gay man. The same thing happened because I looked on a Wikipedia page where it was like the vice president of Bolivia referred to a Jorge, the guy who just lost the Bolivian presidential election. Like, they referred to him as a maricone, which is basically the Spanish F slur. Oopsie doodle, I said a bad word, but it's basically the Spanish F slur. And the question became, it called him, the Wikipedia translation was, they used a term that was just like, effeminate or like effeminate. Like, they just called him like effeminate. It's like, and I literally like edited the Wikipedia page and I'm like, that's not what this term means. That's not what this term means. But yeah, it also refers to Buchanan's better half, better wife. King died of tuberculosis 4 years before Buchanan became president. Buchanan described him as among the best, purest, and most conscious people I met. Buchanan began for opinions that the man's nieces might have destroyed correspondence between the two men. However, she believes that their surviving letters illustrate only the affection of a special friendship. But again, we can't really trust that when historians have also been known to like kind of erase the whole entire situation about this. Buchanan's lifelong bachelorhood after Anne Coleman died has drawn interest in speculation. According to Charles Dunn, Coleman's death has been speculated to have merely served to deflect questions about Buchanan's sexuality and bachelorhood. When others recommend marriage to him after she died, his response was, "Marry I could not, for my affections were buried in the grave." Philip Shriver Klein wrote in 1955 that marriage was something the president purposely shunned throughout the remainder of his life, and added how keeping Coleman's letters until dying suggests he never fully recovered from the crushing effect of death. Figures suggest that Buchanan was celibate, if not asexual. Some writers have surmised that he was homosexual, including James W. Lowen, Robert Watson, and Shelley Ross. Lowen indicated that Buchanan, later in life, wrote a letter acknowledging that he might marry a woman who would accept his lack of ardent romantic attraction, and that's basically the thing. The big thing is just there truly is not a lot of information really available, and the way that the reason why this is a little bit harder to speculate on is because, as I said, they destroyed some correspondence between Buchanan and some of the other people. So, all we really got from Buchanan is that he really just did not marry anybody, and he made a very active point to never marry anyone and never really express any romantic or sexual attraction to anybody after his wife's death. And that could easily just be, again, genuinely the fact that he was a straight man who was mourning the loss of his once beloved wife. Or it could be him being gay and just openly hiding that fact. Because that is also, again, a very common thing that happened at the time period. They make jokes about it. There was a Family Guy joke where it's Stewie Griffin was Stewie Griffin is gay, and Stewie Griffin was playing the king and Lois was playing the queen, and the queen's but we never had sex, king, and Stewie's aw man, I was just so ready to have sex, but I just got this thing I gotta do, and that's just a common historical fact where it's there's obviously gay people who hide the fact that they're gay, even though, again, these are people in power and they could easily just change the rules, but whatever.
Now, as much as Pete Buttigieg's presidential campaign is gaining traction, mostly due to the fact that he's gay, he's not the first major party presidential candidate to be openly gay. That honor goes to senior consultant to Gerald Ford, Ronald Reagan, and George Bush Sr., Fred Karger. I may go more in depth on Karger's 2012 campaign in a video of its own, or lumped into the other 2012 Republicans video, but all you need to know is that out of all of the major 2016 Democratic candidates, he's definitely a Lawrence Lessig.
Yeah.
Okay, so happy Pride Month to all my LGBT fans. Hope this video was a...
You know what, I might actually... for this, I might just play that segment of Karger in this video just because I just kind of want you guys to see what I mean about Karger.
The 2012 GOP primaries look similar to the 2020 Democratic primaries. As such, it may be difficult to tell who is technically considered in other. Romer sought the nominations of America's elect, the Reform candidate. Romer decided to drop all of his presidential ambitions. Now the last other candidate was political consultant and activist Fred Karger. Karger was like Johnson and Romer, and by that I mean the GOP establishment hated him. And unlike the other two, it may have been more than just his political positions. You see, Carger was gay, and in fact, openly so, being the first openly gay Republican candidate for president, and that obviously played a part in the undermining of his campaign. Though to be fair, his positions were definitely not helping him either. He supported legalizing same-sex marriage, shocker, having a protectionist trade policy, gun control, and lowering the voter age to 16. So yeah, move over Luka Doncic. This is the real maverick. Now, despite the fact that Carger, of course, didn't manage to get on the big boy debate stage, Carger, Johnson, and Romer did debate each other online, so at least the screwed over candidacies stuck around with each other. Unlike those guys, Carger actually did not drop out until really late in the game, running the third longest candidacy of the primary. In fact, he ended up dropping out after the Utah primary, which was the final state to hold a primary. I think the reason why was because he was a huge critic of the Mormon Church and was a huge critic of Mitt Romney due to the fact that the Mormon Church was, not so good with the gays, believe it or not. By the end of it all, Carger managed to receive 10,831 votes overall. Now, of course, in this election cycle, we've been seeing people...
So yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say about that. And I guess just for a little quick extra stuff, let's watch the Glenn or Glenda video. Now, this video is interesting for another reason.
As we are all
This video is interesting for one reason and one reason only. Not just the subject matter. I don't know if I didn't include a pinned comment about it, but I guess because this video is actually edited. I literally edited specifically to remove one segment in this video. And it's a segment where I shouted at a particular content creator who was trans and who I wanted to get their input on the episode, on this movie, before I continued to make the video. And they did a live reaction on their channel about the movie, and it was a very interesting development. The only reason why I asked them was because there was another trans creator that I was talking to that I also wanted them to do this, but they fucking bailed on me because they're a fucking loser. But that's beside the point. This other person that I'm talking about is also a loser because they're a Zionist pedophile, apparently. I don't necessarily know if I want to say the name of the creator because I don't want to, cause drama. I mean, I do. I don't really fucking care. But they're a Zionist pedophile now, so it's like, well, sure is something. Man, I should make a video where I just go over all the fucking people who have canceled me or I have canceled. That'd be interesting. Anyways, let's move on to just watch this video. Because I do want to watch, I do also kind of want to watch this video just because I just want to give it a little bit more. Not necessarily, I just wanted to I do kind of like to go back to old videos and just see where I got them things wrong and got things right or whatever. Let's just do this because,
fortunately made aware of
trans rights. And I think this was kind of when I started transitioning from bad videos to good videos. So yeah.
As we are all unfortunately made aware of every day, the past has not really been the most kind to people who are not cis white men. And one way that we unfortunately get shown this is how we portray minority groups in the media. The focus of this episode is going to be regarding transgender individuals who are not...
yeah, and that's another problem that I do. You can tell that I did not really talk to a lot of trans people in my lifetime because I keep referring to trans people in this video as trans individuals because I really, 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 really desperately did not want to offend trans people. So I went a little too eggshell in this video. So yeah.
Portrayed well even in media that is younger than me. So at a first
yeah, that is actually true. They're in the early 2000s, trans people were fucking really treated badly in media. Let me see. Yeah, this one is fucking weird. In this episode, I get to give the context of each of these medias. Literally in this episode, George Lopez is arrested because he just beat the shit out of his dad. Well, I mean, he beat the shit out of his dad in a previous episode because his dad left him when he was a kid, and whatever. And the father and him were trying to reconcile. And the prison guard says, "Lopez, will you come out?" And he's like, "Finally, I'm ready to go free." And he's like, no, not you, Lopez. And this person, this trans woman, is the Lopez that he's referring to. And she gives, because the father just left and is like, here's my card, I'll be in town for the next couple of days, and she gives the advice to George Lopez, like, you should call your dad because, and she's like just trying to give him very helpful advice, and the laugh track is just like, look at her, look. Like that, the whole joke is just, she's trans. That's the joke.
Media that.
And yeah, this also is another one that's just like, this is weird because this is like fucking a background gag. This is just supposed to be in the back, because like in the Shrek, like in Shrek 2, this specific screenshot is from the DVD. Basically the thing is, it shows like everybody who took like a potion in Shrek 2, that is like, that's their before, that's their after. It's like one of them is like a horse, and then they take the potion before Fairy Godmother met them, and then after Fairy Godmother met them, and it's like it shows like a unicorn on one side and the horse on the other side, and it shows like various other people, like an evil, ugly witch on one side, and then no. Actually, for one, it shows like a regular old lady, and then they turn into a witch. I don't know, like it's weird. And this is interesting because it, of course, the joke is, because like the joke about, like, of course, Doris in this movie franchise is that she looks and acts like a man. They're the ugly stepsisters look like men. And this is supposed to be a similar aspect of the joke, where it's like, wait, you realize they are a man. Like, that's the joke. Haha, funny. Haha, funny transphobia. That's so fucking hilarious. But it's actually interesting for the fandom, because I'm pretty sure Doris is like a really loved character in the Shrek fandom. So this is actually a very inspiring story, actually. You go, girl. Everyone loves Doris.
That is younger than...
Yeah, and this one. Oh, yeah, and yeah, fucking... This guy, again, a similar thing I covered in my fucking, like, Wandering Sun video, where it's like, yeah, Jerry Seinfeld, of all the people, is gonna make a joke about this being weird when he dated a 17-year-old girl.
Me.
Yeah, and this actually is a very interesting episode in general for The Simpsons, where it's just like, this episode is kind of like basically Moe turns the bar into a gay bar, and then Moe becomes extremely popular among the gay community in Springfield. And they just, of course, have the drag queens in it. But actually, the drag queens in this episode are actually not portrayed in any, like, negative light. The only weird thing that happens is, like, they, make fun of, they basically imply that Marge is a man, and also, Patty, who's a lesbian, they also imply that she's a man. I don't know, but, like, yeah, this one's actually not the worst of any of the... This actually isn't the worst of all of them. I guess the joke is, again, just like, I guess the joke is just that they're... I don't even know if this was a joke in the episode. Because I actually didn't really even, like... Even at the time, whatever.
So at a first glance, this movie seems like just that. A relic of its time that was used to mock trans people. I mean, this movie's commonly regarded as one of the worst movies in the history of film.
Yeah, that is true. This film is commonly regarded as one of the worst films in history. In fact, let me just pull up on Wikipedia and let's see if it still holds that title. If it still holds the title of, like, one of the worst films in history of film. Glenda's not on the fucking, like, thing. Oh, so they, like, divide it just, like, specifically here. Let's actually read this part, because I want to read this. Glenn and Glenda star Ed Wood as Glenn, a trans who trusts as Glenda. Wood also directed the film. After a dream sequence, Glenn goes to secretary to help cure him of trans. That's one of the big criticisms of this movie, is that he gets cured of being trans. Leonard Maltin wrote that Glenn and Glenda is worse than Wood's later planned 9 Friends. This is possibly the worst movie ever made. Similarly wrote that it was widely considered to be an atrocity, the most catastrophic failure of Wood's singularly bad career. They don't... Are they... Huh? Half mad old movie parent has an... It's dreadful enough to have a certain comic appeal. Lugosi's character presides over the action like some sex change deity, passionate and coherent. wouldn't say that they're passionate and coherent. Do none of these fucking critics? I guess I'm reading the Wikipedia articles instead of like reading like the fucking like actual like movie reviews. But like, okay, let's just actually read IndieWire. What is the reason why Ed Wood's Glenn or Glenda is bad? Let's read it. Recognizing the main purpose of this to identify the stacked bad films, good filmmakers will never be clinically insane. What is considered the worst entry? It's considered the worst entry. It must purely be incumbent on the right. It's considered bad in the first place. Dark contrast and research development of theory. Like what? You're not explaining. None of these are explaining why this film is bad. None of these people are actually explaining why this film is bad. Yeah, that's one of the weird things. I guess it's one of the main theses of this video. Because, like, spoilers for those who haven't seen the video. I actually don't think this movie's that bad at all. I don't think this movie's really even bad. There's one scene in the movie where I kind of go, okay, I can kind of see where there's a criticism here in regards to, like, the structure of the film. But otherwise, I don't see a main problem with the film. By the way, I guess I gotta check again. Is this film public domain? This film's supposed to be public domain, right? Public domain minus AI. That's a good tip to get removed from, like, yep. I mean, Glenn or Glenda is public domain, right? Because, like, I mean, I used footage of Glenn or Glenda in this video, and I think I got it directly from the YouTube upload. Yeah, and it doesn't the Nostalgia Critic, he watches Glenn or Glenda, right? Nostalgia Critic Glenn or Glenda. The Nostalgia Critic reviewed, like, I don't know if he like reviewed it or if it was on his like fucking DVD, but he covers Glenn or Glenda, right? I could have sworn that Nostalgia Critic like did a commentary of Glenn or Glenda and put it on one of his DVDs, because he only does that with public domain films. I don't know, but it's whatever.
That must be the reason, right? Well, actually, watching it, you will see that the film was really ahead of its time and a whole lot more respectful than you'd think it is. Is it perfect? No, it's not. It's a film made in the 50s talking about trans issues, but it's definitely a good first step into the dialogue. The narrative of the film is told by a doctor who's recounting the story of a patient of his to an inspector who is curious about the mindset of a recent suicide case. Meet Glenn, your average mild-mannered guy who's about to get married to the woman of their dreams. The twist: Glenn likes to cross-dress as an alter ego by the name of Glenda in their spare time. The doctor/narrator then explains the many reasons why a person who is born biologically male would want to dress feminine, and it's not in a boys beware type version where they're like, oh, these people are sick and they must be thrown into mental wards.
Yeah, that film, Boys Beware, is a fucking I know that Doug did a commentary on this movie, but it's like this film is fucking insane. This film is basically like a pedophile awareness film, but the way it's referred to is like the way that this is done is through the commentary of like it being for homosexuality.
The doctor actually goes on to explain many spectrums of reasons why individuals would want to dress or act like the gender that they were not born as, ranging from folks who simply want to dress in clothes they're comfy with.
I need to fact check this again too, because did I get this wrong? Did I get this wrong? No, I wasn't wrong, thankfully. Mark Bryan is like a famous model, influencer, and a football coach, engineer. And he's literally just a guy who likes to wear skirts and heels. Like, he's not trans. He has no interest in transitioning. He has no interest in identifying as a woman. But he just likes wearing skirts and, heels. That's perfectly fine. That's a perfectly valid thing to do. Like, just wear whatever clothes you want to wear that makes you comfortable. Who cares?
To cross-dressers who like presenting as a woman but don't
Then RuPaul.
identify as such, to people who want to transition into the
Yeah, and Elliot Page. Elliot Page has just come out, I think that year.
other sex. It even mentions intersex people as people in the spectrum, basically trying to destigmatize all of these types of individuals into the era of the time. Another way they try to destigmatize all this is through their portrayals of characters. You see, the characters that don't want to learn about this...
You saw that too, didn't you?
You see,
Let's wait for it. There you go. There it is. That brief, you could tell that this was very early on this was made when I first got OpenShot, and you could tell that this is when I was having some learning troubles with OpenShot when I was getting it just right. Yeah.
is through their portrayals of characters. You see, the characters that don't want to learn about this, who call the characters who do this freaks, are the ones who are portrayed in a very bad light. However, the characters that do want to learn and who are more accepting of these individuals, they are treated as the heroes of the situation. There's even a sequence in the film where they basically compare transphobes to individuals who are basically trying to badmouth cars and planes before they existed. Basically saying, you're hindering social progress.
We were not born with wings. We were not born with wheels. But in the modern world of today, it's an accepted fact that we must have them. So we have corrected that which nature has not given us.
But like I said before,
and it's the same thing with other things. Here's how, transphobes who wear glasses. Bro, I'm sorry, bro. Take those glasses off and just walk in the streets. That's what you gotta do. That's what you gotta do. That's what you're supposed to do. You don't want to, use science to correct things that are clearly in the wrong. That doesn't matter. Aw, your friend your friend needs a pacemaker? Sorry, bro. That's not the natural order of things.
So we have corrected that which nature has not given us.
But like I said before, it's not perfect. I mean, again, it is a film made in the 50s, so certain things are a bit off. Like, for example, there's one scene...
I mean, one of the problems, there's one thing I do slightly do better now in regards to like these dead spaces. Now I do, because like originally I did not want the channel icon specifically to like be really prominent in the videos itself necessarily. But like I kind of wanted the videos to like kind of stand on their own outside of like that channel identity and me specifically. But nowadays I would like probably have included like segments of like, I would of course had it like pop in or like whatever, like do a little like thing, at least to keep your eyes entertained, but whatever.
Certain things are a bit off. Like for example, there's one scene where for some reason they choose to other gay people, calling them unnatural.
Glenn is not a homosexual. Glenn is a transvestite, but he is not a homosexual. Transvestism is the term given by medical science to those persons who desperately wish to wear the clothing of the opposite sex, yet whose sex life in all instances remains quite normal.
Which is weird. You never really think about it going the other way around. I mean, seeing like a TERF lesbian or Glenn Greenwald is commonplace, but seeing someone say trans is normal but gay isn't is, something a little unique. Another thing is the use of the term transvestite to describe these individuals, a term that many trans individuals consider very derogatory, but that can sort of be explained away.
But I keep saying trans individuals, like that is definitely one that's like, yeah, I really, like even like, I'm just like, wow, bro. Like in retrospect, I'm like, wow, man, that is stiff.
Via two things. One, the information available in the 50s is not necessarily up to snuff compared to the information we have about trans and gender issues now. But the second one is actually very interesting. You see,
I think part of that is actually also incorrect, because, I mean, as I've learned more, yeah, we did have a lot of the stuff we knew about trans people we kind of already knew at the time. Kind of. It wasn't as good, but we knew a lot more than I thought when I was originally making this video.
Gender issues now. But the second one is actually very interesting. You see, the film was actually sort of mixing up two different subject matters. You see, the plot of the movie was originally going to be based on Christine Jorgensen's highly publicized sex change operation, even wanting Christine to star in the film herself. However, Christine turned down the role, and given the very taboo subject matter, unless Christine was on the project might have gotten canned. The only director that was interested in the subject matter was Ed Wood. However, Wood was not really caring that much about making a film about a sex change operation. What Wood was interested in was making a film about cross-dressing, because Wood himself was a cross-dresser. To my knowledge, he was not transgender, he was just an individual who wanted to dress in feminine clothing. And he basically made the movie to be semi-autobiographical and a cry for help, basically trying to say, I'm normal, accept me, society, don't ostracize.
Yeah, that's also just one of the most infamous things about it, because it's like it's technically a autobiographical film. And, let's see, let's just read here. Rough Grays, Wood told her that his mother dressed him in gross clothes as a child. Wood's cross-dressing was not a sexual inclination, but rather a neo-maternal comfort design and a fabric. Even in his later years, Wood was not shy about going in public dressed as Shirley, his female alter ego, a name that appeared in many of his screenplays. In his partly heterosexual, Wood takes pains to emphasize male cross-dressers as not automatically also homosexual. In 1996 film, said Wood came into his office the first time just as a woman. Wood directed Ed Wood made porn? I didn't even... I didn't even... But they say that Wood is not trans, but then Wood says things like, if he could have anything in life, it would be to be reincarnated as a blonde woman. Can I interest you in an egg in this trying time? Yeah.
Ostracize me, which is completely fine and acceptable for Wood to do. However, the producers wanted a film about a sex change operation, not cross-dressing, and were basically telling Ed, where's the sex change? So Ed basically had to juggle 2 different movies that were coincidentally in the same realm of gender/gender identity. Executive meddling also made it so that the film had to be a bit longer, which explains a certain scene that happens in the movie. But that's not really here nor there.
Yeah, that's basically the only criticism that you can really give the film in regards to like its actual like film aspect. Like there's a 15-minute scene of like a 15-minute dream sequence that goes on for way too long. It's like that is a criticism in regards to like the film's like production that I could actually say is valid. And yeah, clearly the contradicting nature of like the 2 themes of the film are definitely also a small problem in regards to like how the film is made. But otherwise, I mean, I gotta be real. The film is actually pretty good. It's not that bad, if anything. I want to make a tier list maker. I want to make a tier list thing of all of the Pluribus Unum, like, things I made a politics and media on. But I want to, like, I don't know if I want to specifically make it, like, all the things, or if it's just, like, the things I did an explicit review of. Because I want to give, like, my actual, like, or maybe I got a podcast where I just go over it. Like, I just want actual unbridled opinions on the shows or movies that I cover. But yeah.
Or there. If you're a trans member in my audience, you can watch the movie for yourself and tell me how you think of it. It's available for free on YouTube, and it used to be free on its Wikipedia page, so finding it won't be too hard.
Yeah, it used to be free on the Wikipedia page. Is it just not on the Wikipedia page anymore, or is it just, I don't know, whatever.
As a closer, I'll say, trans women are women, trans men are men, trans NBs are NBs, and trans rights are human rights. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to...
No! No! It's still here! I know what I gotta do immediately after this episode comes out. She's a fucking creep. I guess I just gotta say it. She is fucked. Fuck Erin Green. Fuck you, piece of shit. And I got more subs than you. Haha. Does this force me to subscribe to her? Hopefully it doesn't. Yeah, she's cringe. Damn, she fell off. Who knew getting found out to have raped your younger brother would have made you fall off that hard, bro? Yeah, but yeah, I gotta fucking take that off there immediately. Fuck, bro. Ooh, that's probably the biggest fucking regret in my, like career that I even associate with her. Fuck. I probably will include links to the videos where she gets caught, but... yeah, I guess I'll just end it here. I gotta end it here so I can immediately remove that fucking part of the video. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and click that bell to find a future when it comes out. And if you're interested in more content from me, consider supporting my Patreon. Fuck Erin Green. Trans rights, human rights.